This is a Saturn return video for my Saturn returners to the sign of Capricorn. So this video is for a very specific group of people, and I've been doing this since my Saturn return. And even though this channel is kind of going through some changes, as I go through changes and expand and consolidate, I will still continue the Saturn return videos until I lose interest, because I have such strong sense of obligation and duty to those who are going through this transit, because mine was so powerful, so transformative. And if you are going through a Saturn return right now and your Saturn is in Capricorn, this video is for you. Now, I have had several videos that I've created about Saturn return in general, and I created a playlist. I made these videos a couple of years ago, but I still feel like they ring true. And if you are having some of those days, this playlist is for you. Check it in the description box, okay? All right, so this video is for those who were born in 1989 to 1991, respectively, give or take a few months. So if you were born in 1989 or 1991 specifically, you want to look at your chart or have an astrologer look at it, or I can look at it. But if you were born between 1988 and 1991, you more than likely have Saturn in Capricorn. Now, there is another generation that is very possible to view this, and they would be going through their Saturn return a second time. And this generation is those who were born 1959 to 1962. Okay, so you guys were born with Saturn in Capricorn as well, and went through very, very interesting experiences already in your first Saturn return. And this one that's coming back around is going to give you some challenges, but overall you're here to ace this. And for those who are going through their first Saturn return, you too are here to ace it, because Saturn is at home in Capricorn, and this is one of the places, if you want Saturn to be somewhere, you'll want Saturn to be where it's comfortable, so that Saturn can do the work that it's called to do. And that's what it does when it's in its home sign of Capricorn. So let's talk about the challenges that you're going to face, and then the rewards that are coming to you with just a lot of patience, hard work, understanding, and releasing a lot of the fear and anxiety. Okay. Speaking of fears and anxiety, which pretty much happen every Saturn return, it definitely comes on Saturn's natural placement in Capricorn. And we have lots of fear and anxiety because Saturn is a kind of a suppression kind of energy. It has a lot of pressure to do the work that it's called to do. And fear and anxiety happens because we may not feel like we are recognized. We might have issues when it comes to the government and like police and high class, long standing corporations. And a relationship with that can provide some anxiety as well. Okay, depending on how your Saturn planet is aspected, you may have called on to take on the duty of service towards maybe government, towards police, or towards, just working in a long, old time established corporation. If your Saturn is not aspected as well, right, like it has a little bit more strife on it from maybe a square or an opposition or something like that, well, then you might have a little bit more challenges when it comes to these themes about the police and government and whatnot. So overall, Saturn in Capricorn is happening globally, but for you guys, you represent what this means. And this has a lot to do with the relationship of who is in authority. And for you personally, this is the theme, and it goes all the way back to childhood about the authority, the first authority in your life, which was your parents, more specifically your father, and the relationship that you had with your father. Now, your father could have been somebody who maybe had strong authority, who was a strong disciplinarian, or your father was somebody who relinquished his authority, and maybe wasn't as much of a disciplinarian. It could actually go both ways, because Saturn either is honored or it's delayed and restricted, right? It's very different when it's in its own sign compared to when it's in other signs where it's almost like a natural delay. In this one, it can really be where you experience ownership, right, and reward through honoring basically who is in charge. Now, this also has themes with your relationship to your father, as I've said, but also how you have established your authority. And there may be some sort of memory or childhood memory of learning what that means. Maybe over abusing authority. Maybe that happened to you and somebody over abused their authority on you. Maybe you over abused your authority on someone else, right? Through the tactics of fear and pressure and anxiety. And so this has a lot to do with karmic lessons when it comes to those areas. Okay. So this is part 1. Part 2 is coming up right next.